So, folks, we got to talk about ICE. I know. We've been talking about ICE so much. But real quick, we're gonna talk about ICE. But real quick, I just want to say, to the New York Times, stop it. You know what you're doing. Stop it. Stop it. The rolled up newspaper upon all of you. The GOP senator who can't stop thinking about the boy ICE detained. Katie Britt is uniquely positioned to reason with the Trump administration when she chooses to speak up. Like, I'm sorry. Stop doing this. Like, the idea that these Republicans who have voted time and time and time again to fund this monstrosity that is being unleashed upon the entire country, to fund and arm and mask these men who terrorize every law-abiding citizen and every documented or undocumented immigrant in this country. The idea that you are like carrying water for this woman and trying to humanize her? She's a monster. She's a monster. Does she feel bad that the things she voted for have directly put a little boy into a detention camp, into a goddamn concentration camp? Good. She should feel bad about it. But you know what? And the thing that gets me about this every goddamn time, okay? She feels bad about it because there was a picture of Liam Ramos. She feels bad because there was a picture of this cute little boy in his blue bunny hat. And it haunts her. There are thousands of children like Liam Ramos held in ICE detention right now. Right now. And, you know, like, frankly, it is a colossal failure for the entire Democratic Party that this has been allowed to continue. This was begun under George W. Bush, but the crime here is also that Obama continued it. And Biden continued it. And every Democrat in office right now did nothing about it, while thousands of children were kept in detention camps. And now, the woman who voted to supercharge the entire operation with $100 billion to ICE is suddenly feeling a little bad because she saw a picture of a cute kid in a blue bunny hat. Well, guess what? There are thousands of cute kids who have parents who love them, who have parents who care about them just as much as Liam Ramos did. But they're not getting out of detention. They're still having their lives ripped apart. Her son had been at the orthodontist for 45 minutes when Katie Britt saw the picture of the boy in the bunny hat. Waiting in her car for her son's appointment to finish, the Republican senator from Alabama could not look away from the photo on her phone that had just gone viral. The agent's hands on the man's Spider-Man backpack, the icy black vehicle, the flash of terror in those 5-year-old eyes. Can you look into this? Miss Britt texted her team from a Montgomery parking lot on a Thursday morning in late January, afraid to believe that this could happen in America. She voted for this. She funded this with billions of dollars. She voted to empower a man who ran on mass deportations now. You didn't think any 5-year-olds would be seized by men with guns? And I'm sorry, you have two options here. You either believe that Katie Britt is the biggest moron to ever exist in the United States, or you have to believe that this is all a complete and total lie. She knew exactly what she was doing when she voted for this. Do not, under any circumstance, allow stuff like this to pass by as if these people are human beings with hearts like you and I. I'm sorry. Katie Britt is complicit with Liam Ramos and his family being detained. Katie Britt is complicit with all of this. And frankly, far too many Democrats are complicit with it as well. You cannot allow them to wash their hands of this when they are so covered in blood. And I do mean that literally, by the way, because, again, the horrific things that ICE is doing are literally covering their hands in blood. This is a piece that went up today. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino praised agent after shooting Marimar Martinez in Chicago, evidence shows. Now, for those of you who don't who maybe don't know who Mara Martinez is, she's the woman who was shot 5 times by ICE. And it turns out a bunch of evidence from that trial is now being made public. I gotta be honest with you guys, it's infuriating. It's infuriating, but like the argument here is that, you know, that the government tries to make, that the feds try to make, is like, oh well, this was obviously just a woeful misunderstanding, and you know, in the confusion of the scene, you know, we had to shoot her 5 times in the back as she was fleeing. We had to. She scared us. I'm just going to read this here. It's time to get aggressive and get the fuck out of here, one agent says on a body cam video as horns blare on Kedzie Avenue in Brighton Park, where Martinez had been following the agents through the neighborhood. Seconds later, the driver, Border Patrol agent Charles Exum, appears to jerk the steering wheel to the left in the direction of Martinez's vehicle alongside them. Be advised, we have been struck, one of the agents in the vehicle yells to a dispatcher. Exum then gets out of the vehicle and moves off camera, and 5 rapid succession gunshots are heard. So in case you aren't picking up what's happening here, they deliberately rammed her vehicle and then lied on the dispatch about them being struck in order to justify this man getting out of his car and attempting to murder this woman. That's what happened here. A fucking attempted murder. Exum afterwards exchanged a series of texts with his wife as well as a group of fellow agents under the name Posse. In one of them, someone Exum identified as the guy from Vermont wrote, "Good job, brother. Glad you're unharmed and get to live to tell the story. You're a legend among agents. You better fucking know that. Beers on me when I see you at training." And, hey, wow, we actually have images of that text messages on the phone. She's alive. She is alive. These ICE agents rammed her car to create a pretense to shoot her several times in the back. And then they all clapped each other's back like goddamn seals. There's no reforming this. There's no reforming this. Don't let conservatives tell you, oh, they feel bad and that feel like that is at all sufficient. You're a legend among agents. You better fucking know that. Martinez's lawyer, Christopher Parente, said the evidence shows the Department of Homeland Security's attempts to smear his client were absurd. Quote, you can't call a U.S. citizen with no criminal history who's a Montessori school teacher a domestic terrorist, which is such a loaded word in this country. She literally taught preschoolers. She's a preschool teacher. They were all clapping and congratulating themselves for attempting to murder a preschool teacher. Oh, to be clear, that wasn't Greg Bovino who sent that text message calling the agent a goddamn legend, a fucking legend among agents. That wasn't Greg Bovino. It's so fucking gross. However, Greg Bovino did send out an email that read, "Good afternoon. I would like to extend an offer to you to extend your retirement beyond age 57. In light of your excellent service in Chicago, you have much left to do." There's no reforming this. The only path forward is abolishing ICE and abolishing DHS. But it gets worse, folks. It gets worse. Because these guys are just operating completely outside the bounds of any kind of law, any kind of order, any kind of reasonability. This is not law. This is not order. This is a paramilitary group trying to occupy the entirety of the United States. And they are going to be trying their damnedest to occupy every single city in America if they can get away with it. Which is why y'all need to get organized. Y'all need to get organized. Because they're pulling this shit everywhere. Here's in Minnesota from just earlier today. After arrest, teen refugee held overnight in hotel room by ICE agents. And I am just gonna say right off the bat, this story does sound like it would involve some kind of sexual abuse. I will tell you that did not happen in this case. Thank God. Thank God. But there's genuinely nothing that would have stopped that from happening in this case. There's no defense. There's no there's nothing. These people are lawless. Okay? Completely and utterly lawless. A girl living in central Minnesota alleges that immigration authorities separated her from her family and detained her overnight in a hotel where she was forced to share a room with federal agents. She entered the United States legally as a refugee. And by the way, she is in the United States legally right now. The teen revealed in a filing she lives in St. Cloud and is a junior in high school. The girl writes that on January 13th, she was driving her father's car to school when at least 2 immigration and customs enforcement vehicles pulled her over and 4 to 5 ICE agents got out and approached her. The teen told them she's a minor and offered proof by handing them her driver's license. She said the agents handcuffed her in the street, forced her to abandon her father's vehicle, which he relies on as a rideshare driver. The teen writes that ICE agents had said they planned to take her to Texas or Illinois, but they soon learned that a judge had ordered she not be moved outside of Minnesota. At the Whipple building, and just as an FYI, because some of you might not be aware, St. Cloud is about an hour north of Minneapolis. So this occurred about an hour away. They drove her down to Minneapolis to the Whipple building. So they basically abducted her on her way to school and took her an hour away from like her community. She's a teenage girl all by herself. All by herself. At the Whipple building near Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, one agent told the teen to call her family and ask them to pick her up. But the agent said that if they came, ICE would send the entire family to Texas. The girl writes, "My family decided not to come pick me up as a result of this threat. ICE decided to take me to a hotel." It's really fucked up. I cannot emphasize enough how fucking terrifying it is. She was pulled over by 2 cars full of masked ICE agents who abducted her, drove her to the federal building while threatening to deport her and deport her family. And then her family was terrified by the threats into not coming to pick her up. And so she was then taken again by these masked fuckwads to the place that they stay. And then they put her in a room with several ICE agents. The family is not accused of any wrongdoing. Their attorney, Michelle Drake, said in a phone interview with NPR News on Monday, ICE weaponized the family's love for their daughter. The teen spent the night of January the 13th at the hotel with 2 agents. Both agents were female, which, again, not sufficient to protect from wrongdoing, just as a heads up. I know people might not realize it. The girl writes she had her own bed, but not her own room. She does not allege that the agents sexually or physically abused her. And they returned her to the Whipple federal building the next day, where her family's lawyer was able to pick her up. And now she's too afraid to leave the house because of ICE. It's why a lot of people in Minnesota aren't leaving their houses anymore. It's so fucking awful. I mean, guys, there's also the ACLU in Idaho. Okay, it's not just one place. It's coming for everyone. You got to get organized. All right, the ACLU in Idaho is filing a lawsuit related to an event that took place, well, not that long ago.
When I was in Iraq. If I had done this with an insurgents kid in 2004, I would still be in Leavenworth to this day. This is a literal war crime.
Yes. Folks might not have heard about this, but last year, in October, in Idaho, there was a large detention effort, right? Where around 200 agents from ICE, but also including state and local law enforcement, raided a racetrack and detained around 400 spectators at the racetrack. And what happened after that is just horrific. This is what the ACLU is alleging in their suit. After this violent arrival, law enforcement rounded up the entire crowd, again, 400 people, zip-tied most of the adults and many teenagers, and ordered everyone onto the track. Law enforcement then detained the crowd of hundreds for 4 hours without food, refusing to let mothers feed their hungry, crying babies. They lined up the crowd, sorting them into groups partly based on perceived immigration status while wrongly presuming light-skinned individuals to be citizens and dark-skinned individuals to be undocumented. Law enforcement used racial epithets for Latinos, and in denying some Latino detainees water, they said, "That's what you get for being here." Sounds like some concentration camp shit. We haven't even gotten to that yet. But what we're getting towards here is some really, really fucked up shit. There is an expanding effort to bring this everywhere. It is not going to be confined to any one area of the country. The Republican Party, Donald Trump, MAGA, they want to spend $100 billion to bring this everywhere and to massively expand this effort. This is the main thing that they are doing right now. They took over $1 trillion from Medicaid, closed hundreds of rural hospitals in order to fund both one of the largest tax breaks ever given to billionaires, one of the largest secret police forces in the world, in the form of ICE. And meanwhile, what are our Democrats doing? What are Democrats in Congress doing? A complete non-starter. Administration allies say judicial warrants are a red line for White House and DHS funding talks as shutdown looms. So just to be clear, this paramilitary secret police force that is being formed by Donald Trump had a secret memo leaked about a month ago that revealed that they have been given legal guidance by the Trump administration in secret in order to say that they do not need a judicial warrant in order to break into your home, which is a direct violation of your constitutional rights, by the way. A pretty core component of the Constitution revolves around protecting citizens from unreasonable search and seizure, which includes breaking into people's homes, actually. Yeah, essentially they're saying they have the right to give themselves the right to break into your house for any reason that they deem necessary. What is pissing me off is the fact that all this crap is illegal and unconstitutional. Exactly. And like there are lawyers and judges fighting the good fight. They do exist, I promise you. Okay? So fuck the Constitution. Basically, yes. There is a secret memo from the Trump administration basically saying you have the right to violate the Constitution. And that's why I'm so frustrated by this, right? Because one of the main things that Democrats are trying to advocate for, thanks to Chuck Schumer, is not abolishing ICE. It's not abolishing DHS. It is not, hey, we're going to claw back $75 billion that we gave you so that we can fund rural healthcare. It's not any of that. Instead, it's, hey, we're going to pass an additional law that says you have to have a judicial warrant. And I just, like, my soul is screaming because you are already required to have a judicial warrant by the highest law that exists in the United States, which is the United States Constitution. You cannot violate that. And if you are in breach of the law. It is so infuriating. So infuriating. It is already the highest law in the country. That's treason, isn't it? I mean, I consider the entirety of Donald Trump's cabinet to be treasonous to the very concept of a democratic republic and the foundational documents of our country. But, you know, I guess we'll have to catch up to that idea after the midterms if we're able to get both the House and the Senate. The redundancy is BS. It really fucking is. And the weakness of Democrats right now is just astounding. Astounding. I've rarely been so angry in my life. Here, let's just take a look. Like, Chuck Schumer has been like, Democrats are still waiting on Republicans to come to the table and negotiate common sense reforms to rein in ICE and bring an end to the violence. We must end roving patrols. We must have a code of conduct. We must end secret police. Oh, well, a code of conduct. Well, surely a code of conduct will stop them from violating the Constitution. Surely a code of conduct would stop them from breaking the law. End the agency. End the agency. If you can only get some reforms passed right now, by all means get them, but you should be calling for the entire agency to be ended. Full stop. These people should not have jobs doing this. You know, these are not actionable. Like, they already have a code of conduct. They don't follow it. They already have orders to not roving patrol. They're supposed to do targeted enforcement. They are not supposed to be operating as secret police, yet they do. Is he in denial? No! He's just a terrible politician. And frankly, it's gone beyond that. He's a collaborator, effectively. A lot of the same people who back Chuck Schumer back a lot of goddamn Republicans. And it's just increasingly obvious to me that the reason Chuck Schumer doesn't take stronger stances is because he wants to put himself up for sale to the highest bidder, to whatever lobbyist is going to put enough money in his pockets. He wants to sell that ideological real estate. That's it. I mean, this is the video he puts out about it on social media.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. Masked agents are gunning down Americans in the streets. What are your demands going to be?
House Democrats, Senate Democrats, we're united from one end of our party to the other, and we put together some simple, common sense proposals. They have three basic objectives. One is to end these roving patrols. There shouldn't be racial profiling when they pick people up. And they can't take an American citizen and lock them up without a warrant, without due process. The second area we're talking about is accountability and enforcement. We need real training for these people. And finally, and maybe most important, no secret police. These people go around with masks. It makes them more brutal. They're never accountable. No one even knows who they are. There should be no masks. There should be cameras. Everyone should have cameras, and there should be rules on how they use them.
No secret police. No
Correct.
Secret police. I can't even believe we're saying that in America. It's so un-American. Senate Minority.
I don't know, 8 agents held the guy down and shot him 10 times in the back. Several blocks away from where I live. A mom who dropped her kids off at school got shot in the face by these fucking, dickwads. The problem isn't cameras. People with cameras are everywhere right now. Masks are a problem, for sure. They are constitutionally bound to have judicial warrants. I will say that I do think that longer training would be a good thing to add. Not because I think that more training would actually solve any of their conduct problems, but because I think more training would slow down the rollout of more of these guys. And I think the name of the game right now is slowing them down by any means possible until we are able to abolish the agency. That's I guess that's where I am with the more training type of thing. Yeah. They should get I don't know 6 months of training. Yeah, 6 months. Slow them down by any means you can. Slow down this rollout of all these absolutely horrible, horrible people who have signed up. You look like if a man and a woman had a child. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sure you do too. I know this is tangential, but I know there are so many shitlibs who think the problem with ICE is they're breaking the law rather than the immorality and inhumanity of what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, it is both, right? The lawlessness is a huge problem because it indicates that they're willing to do anything and everything to you, unconstrained by the law. But I'm so fucking angry, every damn day. I need you guys to listen to this, all right? I need you guys to listen to this because this is a big story internationally right now. There is an Irish citizen currently being held in ICE detention who's been there since last September, who was here legally to work in the United States and has just been held indefinitely for no clear reason. He was able to call in and speak to the press. And here's what he said.
The best way I could describe it is probably like a modern day concentration camp. It's a bunch of temporary tents. There's probably room for 1,000 detainees in each tent. I believe there's like 5 tents. I've been locked in the same room now for 4.5 months. I've had barely any outside time, no fresh air, no sunshine. I could probably count on both hands the amount of times I've been outside. So I'm just locked in this room all day, every day. We've got 2 TVs on the wall. We get 3 meals a day, very, very small meals, kid-sized meals. So everybody's hungry, everybody's tired. We've got no commissary. We've got no options to get extra food or anything like that. And the conditions here are filthy. The toilets, the showers, completely nasty, very rarely cleaned. I'm in fear for my life down here, honestly, because people have been killed by the staff here, by the security staff, and you just don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. You don't know if there's going to be riots. You don't know if there's going to be. You don't know what's going to happen. It's a nightmare down here.
I mean, is there competition for food given how little you're each getting?
Oh, absolutely, there is. Yeah, and there's a little bit of the discrimination, I guess, against English speakers here. The Spanish speakers definitely get a preference when it comes to the extra food, if there's any extra food left over, because all the staff are kind of Hispanic and, they kind of stick with their own when it comes to that kind of stuff, so we'd be extremely lucky to get anything extra, The best way I could describe it is probably...
I'm sure they're killing people. They are. Like, how many people have died in detention this year? 32 people died in ICE detainment last year. How many in 2026? 8 people have died in ICE detention just this year alone. Just this year alone. I'm gonna share this with you because this broke my heart, and it also gave me an idea of something actionable you could do if you have time, if you have the ability. I'm going to read you guys and show you guys letters from children in the Dilley concentration camp down in Texas. ProPublica was able to get their hands on a large number of letters handwritten by children. I'm probably going to be destroyed by this, so. Hello. My name is Suzesh F, and I'm 9 years old. Or Suse. I'm from Venezuela. I've been 50 days in Dilley Immigration Processing Center, and I want to go to my country, but I miss my school and my friends. I feel bad since when I came here to this place, because I've been here too long. I have been 2 years and 6 months in the United States, and I was happy with my friends in the school, but now I need to leave. I miss my family and my country, so now I want to go to Venezuela, but my mom do not want to leave because she wants a better future for me. Seeing people like me, immigrants, are been treated changes my perspective about the U.S. My mom and I came to the U.S. looking for a good and safe place to live, and my mom was looking for a good job. Hello, my name is Ariana VV. I'm 14 years old, and I'm from Honduras. I've been detained for 45 days, and I've never felt so much fear. To go to a place as I feel here, every time I remind myself that once I go back to Honduras, a lot of dangerous things could happen to my mom and my younger siblings. Haven't been able to see their mom in more than a month. They are very young, and you need both your parents when you're growing up. Since I get to this center, all you will feel is sadness and mostly depression. When people have their courts, the longest they will last is 15 minutes. Our rights are not being provided. Most are happening when people don't even have any type of order Arrests are happening illegally. It's sad to hear that people's cases are being denied and are getting sent back to their country, places where they're escaping from and being locked and are looking for protection and want to feel safe. She's describing asylum seekers who are trying to get to safety. Not a lot of people know what is happening in the centers where immigrants are placed at. I haven't been getting any school time. Every single person in here and their jobs they had, their lives, they aren't any danger for this country. I've been in this country for almost 7 years, and those 7 years my mom and I found a home and made a bigger family. I've never been separated from my siblings, and it's honestly sad because they are little and they need their mom and sister. Yeah, they are with their dad, but it's still different for them and my mom and I. Since the day my mom and I got detained in Manhattan, New York, my life was instantly paused. From my knowledge, you can't be under custody for more than 15 or 20 days. While here in Dilley Immigration Processing Center, people have been in this place for 7 months, 5 months, 4 to 2 months. It's not fair that the ICE officers are not following the laws. All kids are being made mentally or being damaged mentally. They witness how they've been treated. They don't have schools, doctors. All they use are nurses. If you need medical attention, the longest you have to wait is 3 hours. But to get any medicine, pill, anything, it takes a while. There are various viruses. People are always sick. Serious situations happen, and the officers can't take them serious enough. There are no consequences. They don't care. I want to point out a couple of things. One, some of these children are here legally. They were granted asylum, or in the process of being granted asylum. Both of those things mean that they are here legally. The second thing I want to point out before I continue reading these letters from children is that the type of civil infraction for entering the United States illegally or without documentation the wrong way is on par with a parking ticket. For the equivalent of a parking ticket, we are sending children to concentration camps. It's just not right. It's just not fucking right. And if you think you shouldn't be sent to a concentration camp for a parking ticket, you shouldn't think that you can send children to a concentration camp for a parking ticket. Really? This one is just titled Mi Familia, and it's by a 5-year-old named Luisani Tolosa from Venezuela. She's 5 years old, but she didn't get any kind of picture of her detention, her arrest. I'm gonna read the translation for this one. Hello, I'm Ender and I'm 12 years old. I've been at this center for 2 months. I arrived here for an immigration appointment and I don't think they should grab immigrants who are innocent, like instead of grabbing criminals, because I mean they prefer to lock up children than look for people who really shouldn't be in the US. They told me I could be here only 21 days, but I've already spent more than 60 days waking up and eating the same repetitive meals, going outside, and that the majority going to wait for bad answers from judges, hearing the bad news from people who no longer have hope, having to share a room with a minimum of 3 families, all that so that they can send us back to our countries. My mama, my sister, and me. I am Maria Antonia Guerra Montoya. I have been 113 days in detention. I miss my friends, and I feel like they are going to forget me. I'm bored here. I already miss my country and my house. I came on vacation for 10 days, and they took me into an ICE office and interrogated me 2 hours without my mom. I was traveling with flight attendant because my mom lives in New York. They only wanted to arrest my mom because my mom didn't have documents to live in the United States. I always traveled with my tourist visa, but ICE used me to catch my mom, and now I'm in jail, and I'm sad, and I've fainted 2 times here inside. When I arrived, every night I cried, and now I don't sleep well. I felt that being here was my fault and I only wanted to be on vacation like a normal family. They don't give me my diet. I'm vegetarian. I don't eat well. There's no good education and I miss my best friend Julieta and my grandmother and my school. I already want to get to my house and this is me and Dilly. I'm not happy. Please get me out of here to Colombia. Hello, my name is Mia Valentina Paz Faria. I am from Venezuela. Been living in the United States for 3 years. I am 7 years old. I've been here for 70 days in this place. I don't want to be in this place. I want to go to my school. I miss my grandparents. I miss my friends. I don't like the food here. I miss my school. I don't like being here. I'm bored here. I don't feel so good in this place. I already want to leave this place. I miss my uncles. I hope to leave soon. I'm going to ask you guys to do something. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to, one, share around this link, which is a link to ProPublica's reporting on this and their ability to gather these stories from children. Share that around as much as possible. And the other thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is to print off those letters, if you have the ability to, of course. Print off the letters from those children and mail them to your elected representatives and officials. Weekend bingo. If you're not here to stop the horrible abuses of children, if you're not here to get on board with that plan, you need to fucking leave. If you want to be like Biden started it, I don't give a fuck. We need to end it. It's our job. Do we write something along with the notes? On some of the ones that are written in Spanish, the ProPublica piece has translations. And are all the letters in that link? As far as I know, yes. Send physical letters to your elected representatives and include a message from yourself telling them they got to do something about this. There is no reforming this. There is no world where this is salvageable. There's nothing that they are doing. Yeah, you could even fax the letters to your elected representatives. There's an idea. But these letters should haunt every single member of Congress. They should haunt every Republican. They should haunt every Democrat until this entire vile system is torn down. Translating the English ones to Spanish as well when we share them is also important. True. These concentration camps are vile. And I just gotta say, our biggest ally right now is each other. Tempted to hand out copies of these letters in the streets. Honestly, that's also a great idea. Go and put them up around town. Put them up on the local telephone poles and such. Everyone should have to look at these letters and the reality of what our nation has wrought every damn day. And the thing is, we are winning. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but we have to win. We have to do whatever we can, wherever we are, to end this. And it means a lot when I see someone in the Olympics speak up about what's happening here in the United States. Here is a resident of St. Paul, one of the oldest Olympians competing this year, making a statement.
I'd like to say I'm proud to be here to represent Team USA and to represent our country. But we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention what's going on in Minnesota and what a tough time it's been for everybody. This stuff is happening right around where we live. And I am a lawyer, as you know, and we do we have a constitution, and it allows us to freedom of the press and freedom of speech, protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. And
I got shadow banned 3 times.
Well, number 1, you're not shadow banned. Number 2, make sure you're on live chat. And number 3, if YouTube is doing shit like that, I have no control over it. So make sure you're on live chat, not top chat.
Makes it that we have to, have probable cause to be pulled over. And what's happening in Minnesota is wrong. There's no shades of gray. It's clear. And I really love what's been happening there now with people coming out, showing the love, the compassion, integrity, and respect for others that they don't know and helping them out. And we love Minnesota for that. I want to make it clear that we are out here. We love our country. We're playing for the U.S. We're playing for Team USA. And we're playing for each other. And we're playing for our family and our friends that sacrificed so much to get here today. And that doesn't change anything, because what the Olympics means is excellence, respect, friendship. And we all, I think, exemplify that. And we are playing for the people of Minnesota and the people around the country who share those same values. That compassion, that love, and that respect.
Our best defenses right now, our best way to build resistance is in our local communities. And folks are making progress in that regard. Jason Chavez, a Minneapolis City Council member, speaking of Minnesota, has been fundraising for families who can't afford to pay their rent. Just earlier tonight, he raised money to help keep 10 different families housed who are too afraid to leave their homes. Can't work. Can't pay their bills. Not only that, he's going out there every day and doing the good work. Here he is talking about an endeavor that they're trying to put through here in Minneapolis, because ICE is costing businesses millions and millions of dollars and costing the community millions and millions of dollars. The occupation is an ongoing drain on basically every financial resource here in the state, which isn't even counting the fact that, again, the federal government has cut off all funds paid to Minnesota. And so the economic situation here is getting worse.
Council member wants to move $5 million around to help small businesses, but others say the city doesn't have that kind of money to spend.
This is businesses say they fear financial collapse as immigration operations continue. Renee Cooper tells us about this plan.
Mixed feelings here at City Hall about moving that money, but it seems everyone agrees the proposed $5 million would be a drop in the bucket. The city estimates local businesses are collectively losing $10 to $20 million a week right now. Minneapolis businesses driven into quietness, some on Lake Street locked up with chains.
It is hard to imagine that this won't have kind of long-term effects.
And it's up for the city to help support and find ways to make sure that these businesses stay afloat.
Jason Chavez, baby, he's doing the good work.
Councilmember Jason Chavez proposing to move $5 million from the city's downtown assets fund for local business grants. But was that money previously set to go to something else, and what was that?
Not the $5 million. It's a fund that is sitting there with millions of dollars for downtown assets, and we're just allocating that for a specific use. So we wouldn't be losing any services.
That fund mainly used to maintain downtown assets, like the convention and Target centers. But it's supported by local tax revenue, which has also taken a hit. Councilmember Elena Palmisano agrees the need is big, but worries the city may not have the money anyway.
For example, we have spent all of our overtime budgeted for police and fire this year in the first 3 weeks of January. This has very long-term expenditures, and we don't know what the cost of it will be yet. But we know that we're not getting a federal COVID type of package to recover.
At least 6 other council members support Chavez's resolution at last check. If approved, it's up to city staff to decide how to dole out the money. Do you support this resolution?
It's not my job to tell the council what to do. It's my job to implement the programs that they put forward. But what I will say is the city has finite resources. When we look at the impacts of Operation Metro Surge, I like to characterize it as we have about $100 problem that's coming. And municipalities typically are able to bring like nickels or dimes or quarters to that $100 problem.
I also asked the city's chief financial officer about this proposal. She didn't say she was for or against it, but expressed some concern about moving money mid-year without knowing the full scope of impact to all city resources. Now, the first vote on this resolution is expected a week from Tuesday. In Minneapolis, Renee Cooper, 5 Eyewitness News.
And ultimately, what's going to save us is us. We got to organize in order to keep ourselves safe financially, physically. It is what we got to do. And I know that I am beating the same tired drum over and over and over again, but we got to show up. We've got to show up. We've got to show up. I know it's hard. I'm just gonna share one last thing before we wrap up this segment. For those of you who don't know, there is a researcher named Andrea Pitzer who wrote a book called One Long Night, which is effectively a history of concentration camps. She is someone who is who's written literally the book on concentration camps. She has a website called Degenerate Art, where she posts her thoughts, etc. And she posted one today. And I want to share with you this part right here. At least 2 parts from this, okay? When I got the contract to write a history of concentration camps in 2014, I really hoped to keep the US from ending up where it is today. That part didn't work out, but now it's critical to understand how much is already underway and the enormity of what's coming. The sooner we stop it, the more people we can save and the less infrastructure there will be to dismantle in the future. The Trump administration is not taking these actions for border enforcement purposes. The mission has crossed over into explicit ethnic cleansing to entrench political power. True. But this aspiring, yet already halfway there, dictatorship has to manage 2 key things to lock in authoritarian expansion and be able to get more control over the US as a whole. First, it has to expand personnel, to expand ICE and Border Patrol numbers enough to be able to suppress dissent more effectively in many parts of the country at once. Second, it has to furnish a lot more detention beds to establish a much larger camp system to serve as a weapon against those the administration wants to target. Trump and his allies are making progress at both. The Department of Homeland Security announced in January it has doubled officers and agents from 10,000 to 22,000 during the first year of the second Trump administration. Those gains were only possible due to the removal of age restrictions and cutting training time in half. Even so, that process and its results are under investigation right now. Meanwhile, ICE and Border Patrol are becoming the focus of shame, with agents now pariahs to decent people. Stories of agents being forced to eat in hotel rooms when restaurants refuse to serve them and other public humiliations have abounded. This work on the part of everyday folks is good and effective. It will affect hiring, will encourage people to quit, and should be continued. Even more pressing at this particular moment is that DHS is having more success in something that regular readers of this newsletter will have heard me shouting about for the last year now. The threat of the government acquiring large venues and structures around the country for conversion to camps. Several outlets have reported purchases planned or completed in places like Kansas City, Hagerstown, San Antonio, and smaller cities and towns. Last week, the Philadelphia Inquirer's Will Bunch went to Tremont, Pennsylvania to report on the plans for a warehouse to hold 7,500 people there. The town itself has a population of 1,672 in the last U.S. Census, meaning detainees would outnumber town residents at a ratio of 5 to 1. And I'm going to link this because I do encourage you all to read the entire thing. I'm not going to read it to you all here. I try never to do that with the articles we cover so that you can go and read them and support the journalism yourself. what we can do. A lot depends at what stage a given facility is at. We should continue to push our elected representatives to not just ask for modifications to ICE and Border Patrol behavior, but to demand funding clawback and to actively bar use of federal funds to the current ends. When possible, localities can preemptively bar all cooperation with ICE and immigrant detention from your community when it comes to law enforcement. Confer with public officials and companies that own local facilities to collaboratively bar any active cooperation and establish penalties, which is something, again, we can do if we get organized locally. It is vitally important, of paramount importance, that you guys start showing up to meetings. Start showing up to your local Democrat meetings. Start showing up to your local city council meetings. Start showing up to your local DSA meetings. It is necessary work. It is necessary work. Where negotiations for facilities are underway, fight the leases, fight the purchases of the facility by getting the word out on the ground and demanding responses from elected officials at every level. Use the example of accommodations made for Mississippi to demand similar treatment. As I noted, red state residents have particular leverage here because Republican officials are the ones likely to be heard by the administration. Address the infrastructure problems large camps create. Ask your representatives that they want the name of the town to become, if they want the name of the town to become infamous in history for being the next Dachau, the next Vorkuta, the site of a concentration camp joining a terrible league of cities worldwide. Where the acquisitions can't be blocked, the federal government does have staggering power in this arena. Communities are looking into ways to target the employees and contractors from security services, food services, and maintenance. Cities, counties, and even states can create local ordinances that make clear that company that has provided services to the detention facility cannot get other municipal contracts, that any state or county licenses may be revoked, and that employees will not be able to work in schools or government positions going forward. Okay? If a given facility comes online, documenting activity at these facilities is crucial, and keeping up a presence that shows local opposition as well. Whatever infrastructure serves that facility, work to deny the detention camp support from it. If you are in one of the towns or cities nearby, document as much as possible what is happening. Municipalities can create their own investigative commissions to track abuses and lawbreaking involved in the acquiring and running of these camps. Work to find out who is detained in the facility. Organize the town to stand against it publicly and often. There will likely be people in any given town who support the facility and the administration's goals. Try to keep everyone aware of what is actually happening inside, and you may decrease that support. Share personal stories of the detainees as you are able to get them. Enter those into the public record, along with the public health accounts of the diseases like measles and tuberculosis that are already rising in the camps. Networking with other areas around the country that are similarly affected can share ideas and develop strategies to fight this kind of desecration of healthy communities as the government tries to force them into hosting concentration camps. So few people understand exactly what's happening. This is one of the reasons I encourage the use of the term concentration camp. People recognize that term as an escalation of the usual state of detention, and the current potential for harm is vast. We are in a race now. We need to act before the administration has the personnel and the detention facilities to broaden the scope of its actions. It's up to us to break the existing momentum on this front. For many, this has been a faraway issue debated conceptually in the mind, something a person can take a side on, as with the Super Bowl. But faced with whole communities being upended and strong-armed into hosting concentration camps, many will begin to see this mass deportation movement for what it is. Something abhorrent, something truly vile, and something we have to stop. And to that end, folks, each and every one of us needs to get fucking organized. You need to go to your local meetings with like-minded folks. And yeah, that might mean you gotta make some allies with some local wine moms. You know, some libbies. You might make some unconventional allies in your efforts. But we got to get organized. We got to go to those meetings. We got to go to the DSA. We got to go to the Working Families Party. We got to go to the Food Not Bombs. We got to go to every single org in our area that we can get to, that we have an in with, that might be able to mobilize against this. And we got to go. We got to make sure that we inoculate ourselves against this fascist wave that is coming, and we have to make sure we are ready to beat it. This is coming everywhere, folks. Not just here in Minneapolis. It's going to be everywhere soon. I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm going insane because every fucking day I come on here and I tell you guys it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And I still don't know if enough of you realize it yet, you know? But they're coming and their goal is to kill us. And we got to make sure we're organized and we're ready and we give them not a single goddamn inch. If you need help joining your local Dems, joining your local DSA, you can join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy for help with DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And if enough of us come together, we got this. Not gonna lie, guys, it's fucking scary. But we can't let that stop us. So with all that being said, let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. And please share this around. Or at the very least, share the stories of the children in ICE detention who are living in a concentration camp. And share the story of Andrea Pritzer, who's sharing her expertise on concentration camps. And the role we all have, and we all share now, to oppose them being built here. It's our job. It's our duty. We have to stand up, we have to stand tall, and we have to actually do the hard work. So let's get to work.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore.